Welcome to Whispered Rain Stories. Hey, you can close your eyes now. Let me tell you a story while the rain takes care of the rest. The night always brings a certain hush, doesn't it? A soft, velvet quiet that drapes over everything, muffling the sharp edges of the waking world, softening the harsh realities of the day. Tonight, though, there's another sound, a symphony of liquid whispers that began with a hesitant, almost shy tap, tap, tap against the window pane, like a secret knocking to be let in. Then it settled slowly, gracefully, into a steady, comforting rhythm, rain each droplet, a tiny drumbeat upon the glass, echoing the slow, steady pulse of my own heart beneath the covers. I lie here, deeply nestled, almost cocooned in the warmth of my blankets, listening intently, breathing in the quietude, letting the subtle nuances of the night wash over me. As the rain intensified, growing from a tentative drizzle to a confident, unwavering pour, so did a feeling within me, a familiar, tender ache that wasn't sadness, no, not truly sadness, but something akin to a quiet, profound longing. It's in these very moments when the world outside my window blurs into a watercolor of shifting shadows and diffused lights, when the city sun becomes a distant drone, that I find myself drifting, not precisely into sleep, but into a liminal space, a memory perhaps, or a dream that feels more real, more resonant than any waking moment. The air in my room is cool, carrying the pristine scent of damp earth rising from the garden below, mingled with the sweet, metallic tang of distant petrichor. It's a scent that has, for reasons I cannot fully articulate, always reminded me of her. And with that singular thought, a subtle, almost ethereal presence seems to fill the very space around me, as if the air itself has become a living whisper carrying an unseen, unheard secret. I close my eyes, allowing the myriad sounds and delicate sensations to wash over me, to seep into my very bones, drawing me deeper, ever deeper, into the embrace of this gentle, endless night. The quiet hum of the old house settling, the occasional, almost imperceptible distant rumble of thunder, like a giant sigh, and the steady, ceaseless, melodic lullaby of the rain. It truly is a perfect cocoon, a safe haven where thoughts can furl themselves slowly, deliberately, like slow-motion blossoms opening to the moon. This feeling, this quiet intimacy shared only with the night, often leads me back to a particular memory, one not etched in grand, dramatic gestures, but in the softest, most tender brushstrokes of a single, poignant moment. A moment bathed in the very same gentle, insistent rain. It was a night much like this, perhaps, or a morning just after, when the world was still heavy with night's cool dew and the last glistening vestiges of a blessed rain. Asterisk, asterisk, my gaze, drawn by an invisible thread, drifts slowly to the window, the glass now transformed into a shimmering, living canvas. It's adorned with countless streaks and rivulets, each one catching the faint light from my bedside lamp, turning into a miniature, distorted world of reflections. Every droplet, a tiny, perfect sphere, seems to hold a universe within its curve. It's a curious thing, truly, how a simple pane of glass, an ordinary barrier to the outside world, can hold so much, not just ephemeral reflections, but hidden stories, unspoken narratives. And it was this very window, this silent, ever-present witness to countless solitary nights, that held a secret, a tender, fragile offering from a soul I barely knew. It felt so profoundly, almost inexplicably connected to. The memory itself is so vivid, so immediate, it feels almost tangible, as if I could reach out and touch that past moment. I remember waking, not jolted by an alarm, but stirred by the soft, diffused light filtering through the still wet, weeping glass. The rain had finally ceased, leaving behind a world shimmering with a newfound clarity, a fresh, vibrant definition. Pristine, almost sparkling scent lingered in the air, a clean, verdant fragrance that promised new beginnings, even in the quietest, most understated of dawns. My eyes, still heavy with the languor of deep sleep, had lingered on the window, tracing the faint patterns left by the receding water, and that's when I saw it. A small, carefully folded piece of paper tucked delicately into the narrow, almost hidden ledge of the sill just outside the glass, sheltered only slightly from the elements. It was damp, still clinging to the last glistening remnants of the night's gentle tears, but its presence was undeniable, a stark yet profoundly gentle contrast against the weathered gray wood of the frame. My heart had given a startled yet strangely tender leap within my chest, a quiet flutter. Who would leave something there, and why in such an unassuming, private place? The thought was at once disquieting in its mystery and exhilarating in its unexpectedness, a paradox wrapped in the quiet, profound beauty of a rainy morning's aftermath. The world outside remained still, hushed as if holding its breath, patiently waiting for me to discover this delicate, fragile secret. Paper, a soft, inviting off-white, seemed to glow faintly in the pale dawn light, almost emanating a gentle invitation, beckoning me to reach out, to touch it, to unravel its unspoken, long-held message, asterisk, with a hesitant, almost trembling hand. I reached out, my fingers brushing lightly against the cool, damp paper. It was smooth beneath my fingertips, slightly pliable from the absorbed moisture. Yet it held its folded shape with a surprising resilience as I carefully, reverently, pulled it from its precarious hiding place. A tiny, luminous droplet of water, a pure tear from the night sky, clung for a brief, suspended moment to my fingertip before finally dissolving, leaving behind only a faint coolness. A quiet, almost inaudible sigh escaped my lips, a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. A silent acknowledgement of the moment's significance. I unfolded it slowly, deliberately, as if handling something infinitely fragile, a precious artifact. From another time or dimension, the paper rustled softly, a sound like dry leaves caught in a gentle breeze, or perhaps more accurately, like a whispered secret being finally divulged in the quiet intimacy of the room. And there, revealed before my eyes, in a hand that was both elegant in its flowing lines and slightly uncertain in its occasional wavers, were words, simple words, perhaps in their individual form. Yet together they held a profound weight, a gentle tremor that resonated deep within the chambers of my soul, a quiet echo. They were written in a soft, dark ink, perhaps a deep, twilight blue, now slightly smudged in places where the persistent rain had kissed them, blurring the edges just so. The handwriting itself was neat, almost childlike in its earnestness, in its careful formation, yet it carried a subtle maturity, that graceful flow that spoke volumes of a thoughtful, perhaps even melancholic soul. I brought the paper closer to my face, allowing my eyes to trace each delicate curve, each precise, heartfelt stroke of the pen. The pristine scent of rain still clung stubbornly to the fibers of the paper, mingled now with a faint, almost imperceptible, floral fragrance, a subtle hint of lavender or rose, as if the writer had carried a single, dew-kissed bloom close by while composing these tender lines. It was a letter, yes, in its form, but more than that, it was a fragment of a soul, laid bare and left for me to find, a quiet, almost sacred confession whispered onto paper and delivered, not by hand, but by the gentle, persistent hand of the rain itself. The world outside my window remained hushed, profoundly respectful, as if it were keenly aware of the deep, unfolding intimacy within these four walls. This private discovery, my breath hitched slightly in my throat as I began to read the words, weaving their intricate way into the quiet space of my heart, forming a new, haunting melody played on the delicate strings of an unspoken connection. The words began not with any formal address, no dear sir, or to whom it may concern, but with a simple, almost shy and incredibly direct statement, as if the writer was speaking directly to the profound silence of the room and, by extension, directly to me. I often watch the rain from my window, much like I imagine you do. A small, involuntary ripple went through me, a shiver that was not of cold, but of recognition, a connection immediate and palpable forged in the solitary, quiet act of observing the world. yet somehow mysteriously shared. It was an intimacy woven not from spoken words or shared experiences, but from observation, from a silent, profound understanding. The letter spoke of the rain not merely as water falling from the sky, a meteorological phenomenon, but as a balm, a comforting, translucent curtain that softened the world's harsh edges, creating an almost sacred space for reflection, for dreaming, for the quiet blossoming of thought. It described with a tender precision the way the ambient light catches the countless drops, turning them into shimmering pearls, how the ceaseless, rhythmic sound lulls the very soul into a state of profound peace, how it truly feels to be entirely present in its presence, utterly enveloped. The writer, whose identity remained a tantalizing mystery, seemed to possess a similar spirit to my own, a gentle, contemplative soul deeply attuned to the quiet, often overlooked beauty of the world, finding solace in its most elemental forms. There's a comfort in its rhythm, the delicate words continued, a sense of peace that wraps around you like a warm, familiar blanket on a cold night. And indeed, as I continued to read, tracing the faint ink, a wave of profound comfort washed over me, a feeling of being truly understood, of being seen, not just by another pair of eyes, but by a kindred spirit, a mirror to my own quiet observations. The words themselves were deceptively simple, yet they carried a poetic weight. Each sentence a delicate, intentional brushstroke painting a vivid picture of shared moments, unspoken thoughts, and perhaps a quiet, almost imperceptible growing affection. It was a recognition of a shared solitude, a common thread running through our separate lives, transformed now into a gentle, unexpected communion. The ink, slightly blurred at the edges from the rain's tender touch, added to the dreamlike, ethereal quality of the message, as if the words themselves were shimmering with the mist of a half-remembered memory I hadn't even known I possessed until this very moment of discovery. Asterisk, 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 there was no name, no signature, not even a cryptic initial at the end of the letter, just the elegant, anonymous script, a flowing hand that hinted at a person of grace and quiet thoughtfulness, and yet the words themselves were a signature, profound and unmistakable revelation of a soul that resonated with my own in ways I couldn't have anticipated. It wasn't a declaration of love, not in the dramatic, traditional sense of grand gestures and fervent promises. Instead, it was something far more tender, more profound, more quietly intimate. It was an acknowledgement of a subtle, almost imperceptible, unspoken connection, a recognition of a shared wavelength, a harmonious frequency in the vast, tumultuous ocean of human existence. The letter spoke of small, almost imperceptible details, the way the distant streetlights blurred into soft, glowing halos through the wet, shimmering glass of the window, casting a warm, ethereal light, the lingering, earthy scent of damp soil, and ancient moss after a thorough downpour, a scent that speaks of renewal, the quiet, almost meditative feeling of deep contemplation that only a truly dark, rainy night could inspire, when the world outside feels hushed and introspective. These were my observations, my secret comforts, my cherished moments of quiet beauty, laid bare and reflected back to me by another. It was as if someone had gently peered into the quietest, most hidden corners of my mind, seen the exquisite, hidden beauty I cherished, and echoed it back to me with a tender understanding. A strange, warm sensation bloomed expansively in my chest, a complex mixture of wonder, profound curiosity, and an overwhelming sense of quiet gratitude. Who was this person, this gentle, unseen observer who saw the world with such remarkably similar eyes? The complete mystery of their identity only deepened the allure, adding an extra layer of dreamlike magic and enchantment to the entire encounter. It wasn't about knowing a name or a face, not yet. It was about the essence of a shared spirit, bond formed not through words spoken aloud, but through the silent, profound language of shared perceptions and deeply felt emotions. The rain outside, though it had finally ceased its steady descent, still resonated in the quiet air, a lingering presence, a quiet, persistent reminder of the gentle, almost magical messenger that had delivered this profound, unexpected gift. Asterisk, 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 as I read the letter again, slowly, deliberately, allowing each word to sink in. The quiet longing it evoked was not one of desperate, aching yearning, but a soft, tender ache, like the gentle, reassuring pressure of a hand held in the comforting dark. It was a longing for understanding, for deepening connection, for the silent, profound affirmation that comes from finding another soul that walks a remarkably similar path, even if those paths have yet to truly converge, to intertwine. The words within the letter spoke volumes of a quiet observation, profound respect for the sacred boundaries of another space, and yet, interwoven within that respect was a hopeful, delicate wish for something more, something deeper. Perhaps one particularly poignant line hinted, its ink slightly smudged, the rain, with its endless rhythmic descent, will bring us closer, not in physical proximity, but in a profound shared understanding. It was a wish, a delicate, fragile prayer whispered into the very fabric of the night, carried by the same elemental forces, the wind, the coolness, the moisture that had so perfectly delivered the message to my window pane. My heart swelled within my chest with a quiet, indescribable emotion I couldn't quite name, a complex tapestry, woven from a sense of melancholic beauty, profound sense of hope shimmering like dew on a spider web after a cool morning. This wasn't the fiery, consuming passion of a whirlwind, all-encompassing romance. It was the steady, deep warmth of a slowly burning ember, promising comfort, quiet companionship, and a gentle, biting light. The letter didn't demand a response, didn't even ask for a meaning or a name. It was content to simply be a fleeting moment of pure, unadulterated connection in the vast, sometimes isolating expanse of the world, a subtle, humble offering of quiet affection, and yet the desire to know, to connect, to unravel the tender mystery of this gentle soul grew steadily within me, a quiet tide rising with each passing moment. Each quiet, imagined patter of the rain, the beautiful anonymity of the note only amplified this gentle longing, transforming the unseen writer into a dreamlike figure, a silent, ethereal companion to my own quiet, deeply personal observations. The room around me feels like a dream, softly lit and muted, bathed in the gentle, ember glow of the bedside lamp. The sounds of the rain outside are a continuous, unbroken backdrop, perfect, steady lullaby that carries me further and further into this deeply introspective space, blurring the lines between reality and reverie. My gaze drifts lazily from the letter back to the window, watching the rain continue its ceaseless, hypnotic descent, each drop a tiny, glistening pearl. It's an environment that utterly encourages quiet contemplation, a safe, inviting haven from the incessant demands and jarring realities of the waking world. The air is cool, crisp, and fresh, carrying the clean, invigorating scent of rain-washed leaves and damp earth from the garden. Below, a natural aromatherapy, everything within. This space feels soft, rounded, devoid of sharp edges or harsh angles. The shadows dance gently and playfully on the walls, shifting and swaying with the subtle, most imperceptible changes in the rain's intensity, creating a living, breathing tapestry of light and shade. It's a timeless space where hours can melt effortlessly into minutes and thoughts can drift unhindered without constraint like vast, billowy clouds across a boundless open sky. This is precisely where the letter feels most at home, in this sacred space of gentle melancholy and profound, quiet introspection. It belongs to the rain, to the encompassing night, to the unspoken emotions that stir so deeply within me. The world outside, with its incessant demands, its jarring noises, and its loud clamor, fades into utter insignificance, dissolving into a faint, distant hum. Here, in this private sanctuary, there is only the rhythmic, comforting beat of the rain, the soft, almost imperceptible rustle of the paper in my hand, and gentle, profound unfolding of a truly quiet yet undeniably powerful connection. The room itself seems to breathe with me, a living, tangible extension of my quiet, internal emotional landscape. It's a place where vulnerability feels utterly safe, where the delicate, tentative tendrils of unspoken affection can unfurl themselves, without fear, without judgment, bathed in the soft glow of understanding as I lay the letter gently on my bedside table, placing it carefully beside the lamp. Its presence continues to radiate a quiet, palpable warmth, a silent, steadfast promise. It is a whisper of hope, not for a grand, dramatic romance, but for the quiet, understated possibility of shared moments, of a silent companionship found in the most unexpected and unassuming of places. Rain outside seems to echo this very sentiment, its steady, unwavering rhythm of comforting, almost maternal reminder that even in profound solitude there is always a connection to be found, a shared experience that subtly binds us all together, weaving an invisible thread between souls. I imagine the writer, perhaps in a window across the street or down the block, or even in a neighboring building, also listening to the same rain, also feeling the same quiet contemplation, the same gentle, tender longing that stirs within me. It's a comforting thought, a subtle, almost luminous thread connecting us through the dark, vast expanse of the rainy night, bridging the physical distance with shared emotion. This letter, this simple, unassuming piece of paper has somehow transcended its physical form. It is no longer just words imprinted on a page. It is a feeling, a tangible presence, a gentle echo of another soul reaching out through the thin, almost transparent veil of anonymity. And in that echo, there is a profound, undeniable sense of peace that settles deep within my being. It's a quiet understanding that doesn't need loud declarations or dramatic, sweeping gestures. It simply is. The air in the room feels thick with this unspoken connection, a tangible yet ethereal presence that wraps around me like a comforting, loving embrace, shielding me from the chill of the outside world. I close my eyes once more, slowly, deliberately, letting the soothing whispers of the rain and the resonant words of the letter merge seamlessly into a single, cohesive, profoundly soothing melody. A private symphony. ****. The rain outside has settled into an even deeper, more consistent, almost hypnotic pattern. It's a perfect lullaby, soft and repetitive, a ceaseless rhythm that gently washes away the last lingering traces of the day's worries, the anxieties, the small disquietudes. Each drop seems to carry a fragment of the unfolding story, a tiny, liquid whisper of the letter and the gentle, thoughtful soul who carefully wrote it. My thoughts drift, unmoored from any earthly concerns, carried effortlessly by the rhythmic, flowing currents of the water like a small boat on a calm sea. I envision the world outside, blurred and softened by the rain's persistent veil, a magnificent, living canvas of gentle gray hues and shimmering, diffuse reflections. It feels profoundly like a dream, this quiet understanding, this subtle, tender intimacy born of shared solitude and the poetic, encompassing embrace of the night. There's a profound, unwavering sense of calm that settles over me, a feeling of being utterly safe, deeply protected within this fragile yet resilient bubble of sound and soft ambient light. The memory of the letter, the profound feeling it evoked, has woven itself seamlessly into the very fabric of the night, becoming an intrinsic part of the rain's gentle, endless melody, a counterpoint to its steady beat. It's a quiet form of love, perhaps one that exists beautifully in the spaces between words, in the unspoken understandings, in the shared experience of a gentle, comforting, rainy night. It is melancholic, yes, but a beautiful melancholy, a sweet sadness that hints at depths yet to be explored, connections yet to be fully realized, potentials waiting patiently in the ******. My eyes grow heavy, slowly, irrevocably, the edges, my vision softening, blurring, dissolving into soft focus. The last thing I feel is the cool, clean air on my skin, the lingering, earthy scent of rain. and the quiet, persistent resonance of the letter's tender words echoing in the vast, empty expanse of my mind. The rhythmic, ceaseless patter of the rain is pulling me down deeper and deeper into a slumber that feels more like a gentle, peaceful descent than an abrupt fall. It's an invitation, a soft embrace. As I drift, I carry with me the indelible image of that small, damp piece of paper, the graceful, anonymous script, and the profound, unspoken connection it so beautifully represents. I imagine her, wherever she is, perhaps in a room much like mine, perhaps also listening intently to the same rain, perhaps also dreaming of the quiet beauty and hidden possibilities it brings, and in that shared, unseen moment across the unseen distance, a bridge is built, not of physical matter, but of shared emotion, a silent, profound communion of souls. My breath slows, becoming almost imperceptible, a gentle rise and fall. The tangible world recedes, leaving only the immersive sound of the rain, lingering feeling of warmth, and the gentle, almost ethereal, dreamlike presence of her. It is a peaceful surrender, a willing drifting into a sleep filled with the soft, comforting promise of a love discovered not in a grand, loud declaration, but in the quiet, tender whisper of a gentle, endless rainy night. Sleep comes now like a soft, enveloping cloud, lifting me effortlessly away, perhaps to meet her in the liminal, magical space between waking and dreaming, a sacred space created and held perfectly and eternally by the gentle, ceaseless rain.